Hello and welcome to the Thresher Football Show. I'm Dan Page alongside interim head coach of Bethel College, Dalen Markham. The Threshers come into the second half of the season in Kessinger Division play after going 4-2 against Bissell Division opponents. And it's a whole new season now. Everybody, you could win 5 in a row and go straight to the playoffs, and everybody knows it. That is for certain with the KCAC right now. But first of all, Coach, I wanted to see now that you've had a chance to step away for a week and maybe rest a little bit, maybe some of your guys doing the same, and come back and see each other at least for this first day of returning back to things. How have things been?
It's been good. The week off, the bye week last week was a good time to just everybody just kind of relax and kind of get healthy. We had some injuries on the D line and offensive line, so just kind of giving them. We still practice and all that, but it's just not. We have a lot more rest than normal and having the weekend off and all that. So just ready to come. We were ready to be back in action today. Felt like we were gone forever. We were off just 3 days, but man, just happy to be back and everybody's healthy. So.
Yeah, I know a few of them were very anxious to get back to things. I saw a video on Twitter of Mateo kicking over the break with the wind and everything, making a 55-yard field goal and everything. So
yeah,
he's ready to go. I feel like he had a lot of growth this first half of the season.
Definitely.
But I can't wait to see what he can do the rest of the way here in his freshman season. But the Threshers finished 4-2 in the first half of the season and only 5 games left, believe it or not, in the regular season, guaranteed to anybody. You only play 11 games now in the KCAC, so treat them like you're never going to get them again, right?
Yeah, for real.
It's they come and go very fast. We mentioned last show that this season has just been flying by week after week after week, but I feel like we kind of have to address really just the momentum of things right now. You guys started off 4-0 and then dropped 2 straight, and now you get a chance to just restart. But overall, I mean, there's a lot of things that can get better, and there's things that you don't necessarily want to get worse at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially that. As coaches last week, we we self-scouted ourselves and noticed things. A lot of tendencies, so we got to just kind of come out this next 5 games and break our tendencies. That's what the team's going to scout them for, the tendencies we like to do. So kind of hopefully we're going to surprise some people with some different formations and stuff on offense, and kind of have some different plays on defense to help us out a little bit here and there. So just the self-scouting we did kind of helped out, and then kind of just added a few wrinkles here and there to help us win some games. So we're ready. Where did that come from, the idea to self-scout against you guys? I mean, it's just something we always should be doing that, just because we always want to show towards our tendencies, and that's what teams are looking for. So just kind of just looking back, reflecting, just having the 2 bad performances back to back, offense and defense. Really just got to just figure out something that we can do better as coaches to help the guys perform better. Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. I mean, I know that there are coaches out there that'll grade teams that they're facing and things like that, and just to see how well their opponent is. But when you look inward, I know that sometimes it's hard to do so without a little bit of bias. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, the old adage in education of peer review, and things like that. Got to put your pride to the side sometimes and just swallow it and then just move on. Yeah. I think it's a healthy response nonetheless. I mean, I think everybody can agree that that's definitely a step in the right direction with things. And I know a lot of people are concerned on the outside looking in with things and how the rest of the season's going to go. But I kind of get the feeling your mindset is simply go back to work and just try to get a better finish. Yeah, you gotta look in the mirror and then see what we can do better as a whole, as a staff, as a team, and just kind of see the little things we can work on in practice, and then hopefully they transfer over to the game. So I'm not really worried about where the outside looking in, guys. But we know we all everything we need to do at Bethel College is to succeed. So we just got to do better. Pretty much what it boils down to. We got to just be better all around, special teams, offense and defense. You got to be better.
Well said. Well, the Threshers, in their last game in Fall Fest football game against Tabor, dropped that one 34-33, and I was just thinking, PATs, that game could be boiled down to so many different things, whether it was PATs or catches and not catches ruled on the field.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that, but I mean, it was just kind of a mind-blowing game. You guys showed some great effort there at the end to try to get yourselves back into things after kind of a lapse there in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I know one individual that I'm going to point out that has had a spectacular football game against the Blue Jays, and that was Larry Cherry. I mean, not easy to it's not that hard to guess who that was going to be because, man, he played the game of his career probably.
Literally.
Yeah, that punt return for touchdown. I was just thinking, as it's happening, he did a little swim move with the ball in his hand over the other team. I was like, that's a little dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous.
But, he just kept a good effort, and then he caught a couple touchdowns as well and took them to the house. And it was entirely different mentality from there. And and ultimately, I'm going to kind of use a little bit of coach speak somewhat at the end. You just at the end of the game, there were some things that you couldn't let happen late in the game in order to win. Yeah,
definitely. We did everything possible in that game to lose it. Like, we opened the game off with a fumble on kickoff. We let it go down. We give up a 3rd and 12, and then they go down and score in the first drive, and then we can't get a stop on defense at all the first half. They block a punt before halftime. They led us to a field goal. What else did we do? We just couldn't get a stop really on defense, and then I forgot what happened.
They passed a lot on you guys.
On defensively, we made some wrong checks here and there, made some difficult wrong checks here and there, and just couldn't stop the short game. Like, really, just couldn't stop the quick game. That's really what beat us. We couldn't stop the quick game, and then they couldn't really run the ball, but we just kept hurting ourselves. We had a lot of missed calls on offense, defense, miscommunications going on, just stuff like that. We can't really. And then when we go down there, we get the extra point blocked, and then the last drive we give up a 4th and 5. We jump off sides, and then we give up the long pass, which might not have been a completion, right? But they gave them a completion, and then the play we worked maybe 60 times in practice. They scored a touchdown on. So just little stuff like that. We had mental lapses that kind of hurt us, ended up losing the game. So it was a tough loss, but man, we learn from it and just trying to get better each and every day. So that's all we can really ask out of the guys.
Sure, yeah. I mean, once you saw that kind of develop there at the end, it was just definitely, you kind of had a feeling in your stomach like, man, that was just tough, man. They did a good job of spreading out 5 wide sometimes at times, and, I'm not going to pick on any people, but, you're leaving a linebacker that far in the secondary. It's hard to cover.
Oh, yeah, see, that wasn't supposed to happen. We messed the checkup. Like, we was in zone, and then I think somebody ran across the field and they shot it in deep. So luckily, Tate shouldn't even been there, but luckily he was there. Opportunity to make the play, just a little bit too slow. But shout out to Sebo. He had a great game, but just he shouldn't even been in that position to begin with. We should have had a guy over top of him. So shout out Sebo for trying, but man, we just should have had somebody over top of him. But you live and you learn.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just we talked about it after the game after Kansas Wesleyan and dropping that one. And the pros lose games all the time. I mean, it's hard to think of the last true undefeated teams. I mean, the Patriots had a really good try and then lost in the Super Bowl at one point. That was going to look like the greatest team ever at one point. But it's so hard to be undefeated in national champions. In college football, it's just everybody is going after everybody in this division, especially is going to be dog eating dog kind of mentality, and we'll get to more of that in a little bit. But the Threshers, I'm going to go through the numbers here. Fall 34-33. despite outscoring Tabor in the second half 19-14. They were up 20-14 at half, the Blue Jays were. And just kind of going through some Bethel numbers real quick. DJ Sears completed 10 passes on 31 attempts. That's a lot of throws.
Yep.
175 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Was sacked a couple times. And then he had 80 yards rushing in the game, 22 lost. And Tabor's defense did a good job against Toriano, held him to 36, and Torrey Curry had a run of 15. Mentioned Larry. He had a long catch, a 48-yard touchdown, and then 2 catches for 66 yards in the game. Kai Norris had a couple catches. Brady Witherspoon had a good catch. You really showed some depth for the receivers and things like that in the game, and that was really important at the same time. Tate Seabolt, no surprise, 11 tackles in the game. You guys had a number of sacks. I mean, I'm just kind of looking at them. I've never really liked half sacks, but I guess I understand it from a stat point of view and everything, or like half tackles. I'm like, no, there's no half tackles. If it's solo or an assistant, it's still one. But, Ern had a sack. Colton had a sack. Jarek Woodley played probably one of his better games of his entire time here. Yeah. Frank Driscoll had a sack. You guys had an interception from Jared Givens, which I was excited for because Jared Mockabee, our new assistant athletic director, created a new interception video for the video board. I don't know if you saw it. I
didn't even see it.
But it had the Stone Cold Steve Austin music.
Oh, for real? I didn't notice. That's funny.
So, those are little things to be excited about. Colton McCarty had another great game, 9 tackles. Noah Miller, 8 tackles. Probably his best game all season, I feel like. Earned 7. And then Rob, 6 tackles. Josh Sears, 6 tackles. Reese Bennett, 6 tackles. I mean, a lot of guys, they did not want to lose that game whatsoever. And, despite that, and that's the biggest thing, is you have to overlook the things that go wrong and, still play the game and get the best output of you can.
Yeah, so we give 100%. We give our effort's always there. It's just the little execution and little details that we kind of overlook and kind of always come back and haunt us at the end of the game. So we got to do better at that. We've been harping on that for 2 weeks now, really all season, but really we kind of locking in on it this past 2 weeks of practice. So hopefully we can do better on Saturdays.
Well, nonetheless, you guys stopped the run. It was -8 yards against the run. That's been a constant here for 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
But Willie Green threw for 331, and just a really impressive game for the Tabor quarterback, even though he was sacked 5 times in the game as well. That's just what's crazy about it. It's just the numbers and everything. But a little bit of high-scoring flavor that we haven't really had in a game that close in a few years in the program. But, I know you're ready to finish talking about Tabor and just move on from things. I'm going to get to the scores from this last week that rounded out the non-division action. Evangel won 44-3 at home against Avila. Bethany defeats Ottawa 13-0 in Lindsborg. That's a big game for the Bethany Swedes to win.
Yeah.
What did they end up 3-3 or 4-2 in against the first half of the season? I can't remember exactly.
I mean 2-4, 3-3, I believe.
Yeah, because I know they lost to Kansas Wesleyan and then lost to St. Mary. That was a game they shouldn't have lost. So something like that. But I mean, still, even bottom line, the team that's at the bottom of our division is either 3-3, and then 4-2, and then it goes 5-1, and then it's undefeated.
Yeah. So.
It's just insane, and we'll get to more of that in a little bit. But just rounding out the scores, McPherson put a 29-point win at home against Kansas Wesleyan. Man, that's scary. I can tell you that for sure. We'll get more to the Bulldogs in a little bit. Southwestern puts up 69 and wins 69-28 at home against St. Mary. Friends wins 59-14 in Wichita. And, of course, Thresher is falling by 1, 34-33. That sets up this week's games as Evangel hosts Bethany. So the Swedes gonna go in and try to go in week 1. I think they have a good shot. I mean, just as good as anybody to go up against Evangel on the road and try to get a dub out of it. but it should be interesting to follow. Kansas Wesleyan at home against Avila. McPherson hosting the Threshers this week. Southwestern at home against Friends. That's a huge game.
Yeah, it's a big game right there.
Probably, I mean, outside of the Threshers versus the Bulldogs, that game right there is probably the biggest game.
Definitely.
I mean, two top 25 teams. Always interesting, to see what happens there in that series. And should be really, really good game. We can't really follow because we're all playing at the same time and everything. But other games, Ottawa hosting St. Mary and Tabor hosting Sterling in the other division. So McPherson and the Threshers, it's been a while since Bethel lost to McPherson in football. I can't remember if it happened in the 2018 season or not. I know it was like a stat shootout, basically, that year. That was the year before I even got here. So
Me too, I don't remember.
I only heard stories about all the stats and yardage and points put up in that game. But as far as I've been here, the Threshers have always won against McPherson. But this time it's going to be probably the biggest challenge I feel like it's been since then. I mean, in the last 5 or 6 years. Last year's game, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, you guys had such a sense of urgency to come out and get on the right track right out of, the bye week and everything, and, really had a great mentality going into it and got the victory at home. So many things went right, a lot of turnovers that McPherson committed against you, but they seem to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, the past couple of years actually been kind of close. Like 2 years ago, we won like a last-second touchdown, and last year was I think we won by like 10 or something. So yeah, this year they're a scary team. Like in the last 4 or 5 games, they scored over 35 points. So man, their offense is pretty good. Their defense is even better. So they got I think it's almost 43. He was All-American last year's DB. So I mean, he's a baller. Their D-line's always pretty big and physical. So man, it's gonna be a pretty fun game. We can battle the trenches as always. So man, we just got to come out with the same energy again and just kind of stay on that right track. And then their offense is pretty good. I think I would say the second best running back in the conference behind Toriano, of course, but he runs hard, man. I think on the season he's lost maybe only 3 yards total.
Wow.
So he runs downhill. He's fast. He's big, physical. So man, we gotta stop the run for sure. And man, just don't give up the big plays.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a test right out of the gate. And, of course, the gauntlet that is the Kessinger division this season and last season, for that matter, is definitely going to be huge for you guys. But, yeah, last year's game boiled down to turnovers. Robin Neely had a pick. We had a fumble recovery, ran back for a touchdown. That was huge. It's been a while since we've been to McPherson. The last time we played at McPherson was a storm game. It was really weird.
We played at like 2 a.m., didn't we?
Yeah, it was crazy. And then the year before that, it was a blowout. And but I mean, there for a while, I mean, it was kind of a whatever to nothing kind of game there for a couple years, and then the last couple seasons it's been a battle.
Yeah,
big time battle. And I know both programs have seen guys come and go and things like that, but I know the Bulldogs, they're definitely capable of throwing. Their quarterback Tristan Zabo, he can spread it out and throw deep, and it felt like last year he may not have had the support that he probably deserved around him and everything like that, but it seems like right now, them being 5-1 especially, and what they did to Kansas Wesleyan to end out the first half of the season, man, they're pretty hot.
Yeah, they got a good receiving core. Usually they got 2 good outsides and pretty good slide and big, and usually like 2 or 3 big tight ends. So he has support this year, but man, they have a good running back core. They pretty much got good everywhere, I would say, on offense.
Yeah.
I can't even lie. They're good everywhere, so we got to just read our keys and be great on Saturdays. Put up hopefully it'll be a good game.
Yeah, that's for certain. On their defense, I know they lost some guys up front that transferred out and things like that. You're talking about a guy in the secondary. Is that Nehemiah Figueroa, I think is his name. Yeah. Pretty good player for the Bulldogs. But when you look at their defense, what's your impression?
Man, they're big up front again. Those guys that transferred out, man, they were good last year, but man, these guys might be even better. They're big physical linebackers. They run sideline. So man, it should be pretty good battle from our offensive standpoint. My bad, but yeah, man, they're a pretty good physical team all around. Defensively, they run a lot of different coverages, kind of disguise stuff a little bit, and then they also kind of blitz a little bit here and there. But I think they do a good job of disguising their coverages a little bit. So hopefully DJ can read them and make them pay for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there were times in the last game where, DJ just got surrounded by his own guys and he couldn't get out at times. And I feel like whenever he can break free out of that and maybe stretch the play a little bit, it really goes well for you guys.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, because when he has the options that are either run or throw, I mean, he kind of thrives in those situations.
Yeah, he's a good improviser for sure. So we need to. He said he's finally healthy. He's been battling an ankle injury all year. So he's finally healthy. He said so. Hopefully, we'll see some DJ magic this Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of crazy because it's such a hard decision to make. Yeah. It's a split decision in all those moments. And yes, the first half of his career at Bethel, his mindset was just to take off and run, and that paid off so many times for touchdowns and things like that. And I know he's trying to respect the passing game at the same time. And he has talented receivers. We've seen that all season long. Yeah. But it is such a hard decision to make. But sometimes, I mean, you just kind of have to go at it and go with instincts, I guess, more than anything.
Yep.
But we talked about all season long, when he's facing pressure 60% of the time, he can get out of it and make a good play out of it.
Yeah, he usually does good against pressure. So man, just hopefully this week, like I said, he's been battling an ankle injury, not being 100% really. So he said he's finally healthy. So we'll see.
All right. Well, I was trying to pull up the numbers for McPherson on the season as far as their team goes and things like that, but not a lot of luck here. No surprise on that front. But I mean, there's definitely been some battles with the Bulldogs the last couple seasons, and they're very well coached,
Yeah.
and McPherson's done a good job of keeping their coach there as well. I mean, there's been some times where it could have been really discouraging for them, and they have held on to Coach Fiskus, and he's just looking for that one time that they can just surprise everybody, because that's really all it takes. I mean, you have that one outstanding season, and then that's what you build upon. I mean, you look at guys that have been coaching in this conference, like Brad Griffin at Southwestern. His first couple of years, they just got to see gradual improvement. 500, and then it goes to the playoffs. Tying for conference championships, things like that. So it's really a process at any level of sports, just to get your guys in and just get comfortable and used to things.
Yeah, so that's important, man. Building a program, keeping all your freshmen and sophomores. It kind of sucks now that the transfer portal thing is out, but man, you just gotta keep. If you retain, I promise it'll all pay off when you're there, all juniors and seniors. So that's the key now with college football, just retaining your young guys of your program, and then just kind of learning the ways of the program, and then when they finally start trying to play them and they ball out and do great stuff for you.
Let's look at the numbers for McPherson, averaging 210 yards rushing per contest, interesting enough. 34 points a game, 168 yards passing per contest. The defense giving up nearly 300 yards a game, 180 through the air and 104 on the ground, and then about 19 points per game is what they're giving up on the season. They've won 5 straight after losing to Tabor in the first game of the season. I think it was 20-10.
Yeah,
and
like that.
It definitely surprised a lot of people, but they are on a mission, and they're 3-0 at home this year too. So another thing, it's going to be tough to beat them there. I can remember the last time we played there. There were some big bad things that happened off the field and everything as far as security goes. But they've lost to Tabor in the first game, 20-10. Since then, they beat Sterling 42-30 in a shootout, and that was kind of a surprise at the time. But they beat St. Mary's 38-10, and then Ottawa 31-14, Avila 43-24, and then at home against Kansas Wesley, and it was probably the cherry on top of their non-division action, 42-13. Yeah, that was an incredible victory coming into it. Tristan Szabo on the season, he's passed for 940, 11 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. on the season, so pretty efficient at quarterback as far as passing the football goes. And then trying to balance it out with the ground game as we're looking at things. Jaleel Brown, a redshirt sophomore running back, 79 carries for 581 yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, fumbled the ball and lost it twice. Zabo actually has rushed for almost 300 yards by himself, so he's kind of maybe getting out of that adage that he's more of a pocket guy for them.
They do a lot of quarterback design runs with him as well, so.
But yeah, and then they've got a host of other running backs as well. Jeremiah Mosley, Bryson Kirby, Mekhi Haslip, Alex Hill, those guys all with touchdowns. Some of them are receivers as well. So using that in the backfield is definitely a different weapon you can use, nonetheless, in the ground game. And then just looking in the receiving core, Traven Lewis Johnson, 316 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, and then 4 other guys with at least 2 touchdown catches on the season. So that's pretty impressive for the Bulldogs as they host the Threshers this week. And let's look over at the defensive side of things. For the Bulldogs, as far as the numbers go, Brandon Jones, a sophomore linebacker, 31 tackles on the season. Nehemiah Figueroa, 29 tackles, 3 interceptions on the year. Definitely playing well. Kirby Lewis, 28 tackles on the season. And Christopher Rochelle, 26 tackles, 2 of them for loss, etc. And about 6 interceptions on their defense overall this year, and a lot of forced fumbles, what I'm looking at here in the numbers. Multiple guys with at least 2 sacks to their name in their program at the same time. So a very, very good football team in the Bulldogs as they take on the Threshers this week. How are they in special teams from what you see?
I mean, they have a good kicker and punter. The kicker can kind of put it wherever, kick it all over the field, so we got to be ready, especially if it's going to be windy like it was this week. So it's got to be ready for the high kicks, the little trickery stuff some people like to do when it's windy. So it's got to be on our P's and Q's on the front line and stuff like that. So those teams, they're pretty good. They use a running back and one of their DBs as kick returners, and they're dangerous. So they're pretty fast, make people miss in the open field. So we got to do a better job of covering this week. That's one of the emphasis this week as well as obviously special teams after last week's 2 weeks against Tabor's mishap. So we've been drilling that the past 2 weeks. Hopefully, we're getting better, put on a better showing out there. But the first teams wise, I think they're pretty good. So we have to either rise to the occasion on first teams for sure.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Tabor a couple times had butter on their uniforms or something, because we had guys slipping off several times, and maybe making sure tackling is sound ahead of this week's game might be on the docket for practice. You probably know more than I do.
Definitely. So a lot of missed tackles for some reason. So I don't know. We kept missing them, but just sliding off them. Felt like so. You gotta tell them, man, see what you hit. Stop putting your head down and stop lunging. You gotta run through somebody.
Yeah. Well, we've now seen a couple different punt returners for you guys between Larry and Millie, and also Josh Sears at times. So, I mean, is there any sort of like strategy, just rotating guys, or just how is that working for you?
It was just rotating them. It was Millie, but now Larry took that one to the house. I don't know. He might be the starting punt returner now, but it was really it was Millie because he's been doing a good job for us. And then for some reason, Millie wasn't catching the ball that one game for Ottawa, so he put Josh Sears back there. You just have a handful of guys who can just plug and play. There's just playmakers we feel like they can get back there and make a play. So just trying to spread the wealth a little bit. Yeah,
I mean, that's such a big thing in ball position and where you start drives. I've seen it so many times where I covered high school teams on the side where they've had like great field position the whole season long. You couldn't ask for better, setting up at the 30-yard line or the 40 in opponent territory versus at the college game. And it's so much working out of the back now, especially. I know there's a little bit of emphasis on that, definitely at the professional level as well. But it's definitely a grinded out kind of truthful drive. And I mean, when you have 15-minute quarters, that you're going to need every minute of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's really difficult to put something like that together. Slowly, diligently. We've seen it at different levels where guys just build and build and build on the drive. And I know you're a defensive coach, but you can at least respect the offensive side of things, and knowing how difficult it is to catch your opponent bad on one play after another.
Yeah, that's we'll try to avoid defensively, right, man. We just gotta get a stop on third down. I kind of happened a lot against Tabor. I think a couple drives they had like 13, 14 play drives, to where it's like everything we call they have something counted for. So just like they just need a. It's just one of those things that kind of just sucks, honestly. Like you just gotta somebody gotta just make a play for you, or just gotta step up and rise to the occasion and just kind of make that tackle. Like some of the times it's just come down to missed tackles a lot of the time. Like it's 1-on-1 on 3rd and 3.
Yeah.
And they fall forward or something like that. So just really got to just rise to the occasion. Or like Toriano getting stopped on 3rd and 3, or DJ getting stopped or a sack or something. You got to just make that play to where you can keep that drive going, or get the stop and get off the field. So it just really just comes down to just the 1-on-1 battles and on those third downs and on the long drives, what it feels like to me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you probably saw this when you're scouting yourselves a little bit from the defensive side of things. You can do all the things right, and then the quarterback still has space to go and run. Yeah, and that's what's so difficult, to manage as a defense. Just any defense in football, any level now. Just with the way things are, it's just so more spread out, and the athleticism is, clear.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we did find out that one of the defensive fronts allowed the quarterback to kind of scramble a little bit more. So maybe on 3rd or 4th down, something like that, or 2nd and long, something we won't call that defensive front, for example. So that's kind of what we saw outside looking in, just kind of helping us know what not to call in certain situations.
But nonetheless, I mean, I didn't get a chance to come down on the field. I was packing up and everything. But after this last game that you guys played, what was your message to the team, and then how has that continued through now?
I mean, after the game, I don't even remember what I said. I don't remember something like, man, you got to be more urgency. Because I think I said, but before the lead up to the game, I was like, man, we got to come out with some urgency, because we always lose the first quarter battle. Like, we're always playing from behind. As you noticed, like I think the numbers on the season were like losing the first quarter, like 31-15 or something like that. So, man, we got to come out with a sense of urgency and kind of play with the lead a little bit, because we're always playing from behind. I feel like all games always this season we're playing from behind, playing catch up, and we want to be that team that leads the charge and play with the lead, and like make the other team play desperate, because I feel like we're always one playing desperate. It's not always fun playing desperate, right? So we want to make the other team play desperate, and then kind of let them make the mistakes instead of them making us make the mistakes. You know what I mean? So that's kind of be my thing. Just having more urgency in everything we do, running from drill to drill, running back to the line of scrimmage, stuff like that. Just kind of little things like that that'll carry over to the game day.
Yeah, I mean, you do all the little things right, you're gonna do the big things right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that philosophy, and definitely everybody, mentally and physically bought into things, especially the rest of the way. And a very, very tough docket. I'm gonna run down that schedule real quick for you. So the Threshers are on the road at McPherson this week, and then they play at home against Southwestern the following week, and should be a very, very good contest. Always is against Southwestern. Then they go to Wichita and take on Friends. All of these, mind you, are now afternoon kicks as of right now, 1 o'clock kicks with the cooler temperatures settling in. Although I remember a couple years ago, the 2020 season, we played Southwestern at home in November at night because of we had other activities going on campus, I think volleyball or soccer or something, and it forced it to happen at night. And because of that, I mean, I was wearing shorts in November outside, broadcasting. It was beautiful weather, by the way. But it was pretty cool. But yes, they will return home after a trip to McPherson this week, take on Southwestern, then on the road at Friends. And I believe that game's still scheduled to be played at Riverfront Stadium downtown.
It's actually not there anymore. So
it's not there anymore? Okay.
Something happened with the contract, so it's at Friends now.
Okay, well, there you go. It was going to be a little bit exciting. I know that they used to have some high school games there last year, and there's some decisions made that kind of went away from that, but that's nonetheless. But still a pretty good game there on the road at Friends coming up. And start of November, believe it or not. And then the Threshers finish up at home against Bethany, and then Senior Day against Evangel. All 1 o'clock kicks the rest of the way. And my only gripe about it is we should not be playing the same time as volleyball.
Oh, yeah. Is that this weekend?
That's this week. Volleyball will play at the same time roughly as you guys. I think they're playing at like 2:30 Saturday at home. The biggest thing with that is with these small colleges, a real big part of your student group is your football program.
Yeah, for real.
You've got over 100 guys, and you put those, even half of those guys in the bleachers to support, other athletes, and what do we talk about? Buying into investing in other people.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some character principles built into that, and I feel like to let that go by the wayside is just ridiculous. My opinion, of course. I want to be at both games. To be honest with you, that's when it comes to at the same time. But they have a really big match against Ottawa on Saturday, so they need all the support and everything. So, but yes, that's kind of running down the docket of the rest of the season for the Threshers. So. 3 home games, 3 of the 5 games all at home. That's what's awesome about it is, you don't have to go very far. I mean, you go to McPherson and Wichita, one of the 3 really short trips. Honestly, I mean, McPherson's half an hour, and then Wichita half an hour. I mean, it's really nice. I mean, the only thing less than that I think is Tabor, but I mean, not a lot to stress about there.
Nope.
It's just simple business trip. You get there, you get off the bus and you're gonna play the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Plain and simple, and we'll see if I'm the one driving this week. We'll find out. I showed up last time, and there was just Keith sitting in this van, and I was just like, "You guys want me to drive this thing?"
Yeah, I didn't even know.
And that was a first for me. And in my 6 years being here, I've never driven the van there, but I was like, shoot. I mean, I'm one of the oldest guys here, so I mean,
for real. I didn't even know.
But anyway. Nonetheless, college football, KCAC, Bethel football, all back this week. I know some other sports didn't even really get a chance to have a week off, like soccer. I think volleyball, they still played last week and everything. So you guys should be definitely blessed to have that time to just recuperate more than anything. But I was kind of surprised that they didn't play the Evangel St. Mary game over the bye week because that didn't happen due to weather. And if Evangel were to be in a situation where it goes by winds or whatever, and how weird the NAIA football thing is. I mean, that could put them at a disadvantage by any means.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
But first half of the season in the books, you went 4 out of 6. Still a pretty good start to the year for the Threshers, and now you're ready for even more challenges. But, Coach, what are your final thoughts going into this week's game against McPherson and just starting a really tough division play?
We just got to just take it one game at a time, just get better each day at practice, and then hopefully come out on Saturdays and do our job and keep it simple and just kind of go out there and hold it down pretty much. Just kind of go out there and play for each other, play as a team, play as one unit, and just kind of have fun and hopefully come out on top.
Yeah, I would definitely add to that. Don't be satisfied.
For real.
Don't be satisfied with what you've done. Maybe you've been here 4 or 5 years. The work is still yet to be done, and this next 5-game stretch is crucial to the season. You definitely want to go out with your best effort and nothing else.
Definitely.
So, all right, that's going to do it for our program this week. Thank you for everybody tuning in, and for Coach Dalen Markham, I'm Dan Page. For a final time this week, telling you to roll on.